Good morning. Yesterday, at the 𝗧𝗶 board held for the fourth time for this year, the 𝗧𝗶 board has decided to keep the policy interest rate, the overnight policy rate, unchanged at 7.75%. Also, the margins to determine the standing facilities will also remain at plus or minus 50 basis points. And SRR also remains unchanged at the current level of 2%. The board is of the view that the current monetary policy stance will help to steer inflation towards the targeted level of 5% in the period ahead, while also supporting the growth. Let me take you through the key developments of macro developments that the board has considered. Starting with the inflation. The movements in the CCPI-based headline inflation reflected a further easing of deflationary conditions as anticipated. We have seen a notable turnaround in the deflationary conditions starting from March, and that continued until June. And the recent reduction in deflationary conditions have been supported by an increase in food inflation as well as a reduction in deflation from the energy and transport category. On the medium term, we expect inflation will turn positive in this quarter, and from that point onward, it will steadily increase and converge to the targeted level of 5%. So in line with that, we also expect core inflation to gradually increase, reflecting the increasing demand conditions in the economy, and that will settle at a level consistent with the headline target of 5%. The economy recorded a firm growth of 4.8% during the first quarter of 2025, and with this, we have recorded 7 consecutive quarters of growth, which there was a turnaround from the third quarter of 2023, and that continued, and we recorded a firm growth. And the leading indicators for growth also suggest that this momentum will continue, particularly the purchasing manager indices are remaining at healthy levels, so that momentum will continue going forward as well. On the market interest rates, we have seen notable adjustment in market interest rates in line with the monetary policy easing effected from mid of 2023, and also reflected further reduction in line with the recent last time's monetary policy downward adjustment of 25 basis points. So here we are showing the key market interest rates, starting with the policy interest rate. We are showing the adjustments happened in 2023 from June onwards, and 2024 as well as thus far this year. So altogether, there has been an adjustment of around 8% in the policy interest rate that has been reflected in several other indicators. The adjustment in cold money rate, which is the operational target of the current monetary policy regime, that has more or less adjusted in line with that. And since most of other interest rates remain elevated much above the policy interest rates around the 2022 levels, the adjustments in other rates have been much higher than the reduction in the policy interest rates. And we see the domestic money market liquidity has declined recently. However, it still remains at a healthy level, at a surplus level. This reduction was mainly driven by some of the government-related transactions. But we also noticed that with the reduction in the surplus liquidity level, there has been activities improved in the money markets. So we have seen improved volumes happening in the cold money market and repo market. On the private sector credit from the banking sector, we see continuous improvement happening. And up to May, the private sector credit has recorded around 16% growth. And based on preliminary indicators for June, we see that momentum continued in June as well. And the current low interest rate environment will help for the expansion in credit going forward as well. On the external sector, we see external sector continue to be resilient amidst widening trade deficit. We have recorded a current account surplus of around 1.3 billion up to the first 5 months of this year. And we see some widening of trade deficit happening with the expansion in imports as expected. However, the inflows from tourism earnings as well as workers' remittances improved further, helping to cushion the widening trade deficit. So far during the first half, the tourism estimates have been $1.6 billion, while we have recorded 3.7 billion during the first half of this year from workers' remittances. Gross official reserves were maintained at healthy levels amidst debt servicing. And as of end of June, the reserves were maintained at $6.1 billion level, and the central bank has borrowed slightly over $1 billion from the domestic forex market during the first half of this year. We have experienced a moderate level of depreciation of currency against US dollar that recorded 3% of depreciation thus far during the year. So considering all these, the board will carefully monitor any realization of global uncertainties and assess incoming data on domestic developments. The board is prepared to take appropriate policy measures to ensure that inflation stabilizes around the targeted level of 5% while supporting the economy to reach the potential. We will be publishing our second monetary policy report on the 15th of August. Thank you.